Welcome to SPK English Academy. I am Senabasappa, English teacher at a secondary government model school, Karnataka State. In today's class, we will discuss very important age of English literature. So that is Victorian age and its social and literary milieu. Milieu means background, characteristics, Oxford movement, aesthetic movement, and also Pre-Raphelite movement or Brotherhood movement. So, especially this Victorian age started in 1837 and up to 1900. This period is called as Victorian age. Queen Victoria reigned this period. So, especially in this Victorian age, there is a lot of development in English literature, especially poetry, prose, and also novel. And also, criticism was also developed in this, like Matthew Arnold. And see, Victorian is from 1837 to 1900. So, Victoria, who was 19 years when she became the queen, had all the personal traits and characteristics of her age. Victoria, as a queen, was simply an ideal who personally agreed with practices and ideals of the new commercial upper middle classes of England. Throughout her reign, Victoria was adored by the people and was a symbol of the greatness and glory of England. Love of England means love, great and glorious queen. See, what are the important characteristics of this Victorian age? We have to look at now the characteristics. See, first we look at the social background or the social milieu. So that is, see, an area of peace and prosperity. During that Victorian age, there was no any war, there was no any internal revolts in that England. So that's why this age is called as the area of peace and prosperity. There was a lot of prosperity during that Victorian period, especially in literature. This reign of that Victoria is called as the golden age in the history of English literature because there is a lot of development in poetry and also especially that is novel. See, next characteristic is that the rapid social change. There is a rapid social change during that Queen Victoria. See, rise of democracy and also spirit of questioning and pessimism of the age is also responsible for this development. The Victorian compromise, social morality. So these are the main important characteristics of Victorian age. Now look at a literary milieu or the literary background of the social that Victorian age. What are the social background? See, by the second half of the 19th century, the Romantic movement had exhausted itself. Exhausted means come to an end. And with the reign of Queen Victoria, there began a new golden age in the literary history of England. It was the golden age of literature. See, Victorian age is the golden age of literature. A whole, the literature of the period is critical of the age rather than representative of it. The popular philosophy of the time was utilitarian. The main important philosophy of that Victorian age is utilitarian. It was the philosophy. It was a philosophy of commercial people whose chief aim and achievement was the material progress. See, literature came to the aid of religion in upholding high ideals against the rising materialism of the age. So now Now, some other points about the literary background of the Victorian age. See, a scientific method was developed which made the investigation of the nature effective to an extent hitherto undreamed of, and man's conception of the material universe was changed. See, especially in this during the Victorian age, a scientific method was developed. So it leads the investigation of the nature effective to an extent and the undream of and man's conception of the material universe was totally changed in this age. See, the poetry, novel, and essay reached their high peak in the age. See, the drama was completely collapsed in this age. There is no development. There is no development in the drama of that in during this Victorian age. There is only the poetry, the novel, and essay reached their high peak in this age. There is a rapid development in poetry, novel, and essay of during this Victorian age. See, there was a lack of high literary ideals in the age. See, the prominent factors in the literature of this era are the steady advance of democratic ideals, the progress of scientific thought. Both these moments profoundly affected the literature of the age. See, Charles Darwin's application of the law of the evolution to biology, man's concept of himself was changed as greatly. See, Charles Darwin produced two great works during this age, this period. So, The Origin of Species in 1859, and the second work is that The Descent of the Man in 1871. So, very important moment of this Victorian age is that is the Oxford movement. It is a philosophical movement. So, who are the exponent of this movement? Who was the dominant figure of this movement? Who started this movement? Now we have to study. Every year there is a question on this Oxford movement in question paper. So you have to study this Oxford movement very carefully. See, Oxford movement was a 19th century movement centered on the University of Oxford that sought a renewal of the Roman Catholic thought and practice within the Church of England. The main important objective of starting the Oxford movement in England was the renewal of the Roman Catholic thought and practice within that England church. This is the main objective of the Oxford movement, uh, taking Oxford movement in England. Immediate cause of the movement was the change that took place in the relationship between the state and Church of England. See, when this movement took place in England, there is a great change in the relation between the state and the Church of England and the administration of this nation and the church. See, the igniting factor was the proposal of the Whig government to suppress half of the Anglican bishops and to redispose their incomes without first consulting the church. See, this created a way of opposition spearheaded by John Henry, and Cardinal Newman. So see, John Keble, John Henry, and Cardinal Newman. So these are the most important figures of that Oxford moment. See, John Keble was the founder of the Oxford movement. See, Cardinal Newman was the chief exponent of the movement. So, this John Keble founder, he was only the founder, but Cardinal Newman, he propagated the philosophy of this movement in England. So that's why he's called as a chief exponent of that uh, Oxford movement. And also Cardinal Newman, he was one of the most important prose writer or the essayist of this Victorian age. He practiced the philosophy of this Oxford movement in all his essays in and other works of his. See, others are Richard Hurdle Froude and Frederick Lefebvre, Isaac William, Charles Marriott, and William Ward. So these are also the members of this Oxford movement. See, the teachings of the movement are called as the tracts of the time. See, they were a series of 9 theological publications produced by the members of the Oxford movement and edited by Jan Newman. Newman himself contributed 24 tracts to this philosophy of that Oxford movement. See, it was primarily a religious movement. Its main connection with the literature was the series of doctrinal papers setting forth the aim and teachings of the moment. See, now another one very important moment of that Victorian age is that is aesthetic moment. The question may asked on this moment also. Now we will study how that aesthetic moment took place during that Victorian age. Who were the dominating figures of this moment? So it was launched in the 19th century. Means that aesthetic moment was launched in 19th century. So this aesthetic movement emphasized on aesthetic values over moral or social themes in literature and other arts. It was a reaction against utilitarian philosophers, the predominance of scientific thinking and the widespread belief of the middle classes and that art should have a moral purpose. The aesthetic movement was the reaction against the utilitarian philosophy, the predominance of the scientific thinking. So, the movement memorable by the French novelist Théophile Gautier. He was the main important figure of this aesthetic movement in France. See, the movement can be traced back to Immanuel Kant, the critic of judgment. The movement was brought into England by Walter Pater, one of the important literary critics of Victorian age, who in the Renaissance Renaissance essay, which was published in 1813, revoked that the love of art for its own sake. So see, another one very important moment of this Victorian age is that is Pre-Raphaelite movement. So this moment is also called as the Brotherhood moment because in this moment, brothers, the own brothers contributed their literary forms and some works to this English literature. So that's why this is called as the Brotherhood movement or the Pre-Raphaelite movement. The Raphaelite is the word taken from the painter of that France. See, the Pre-Raphaelites were a group of artists, poets, and painters first formed in 1847 who rejected the dramatic, artificial, mannerist painting style succeeding Raphael and Michelangelo. You know that Michelangelo, Raphael, these are the great painters of the world. So this was formed by three people, academy students, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, William Holman Hunt, and John Ernest Millais. So these are the founders or the formers of this Brotherhood movement or the Pre-Raphaelite movement. See, what are the principles of this Pre-Raphaelite movement or the Brotherhood movement? Now we have to look at this. The first principle or the characteristics to have genuine ideas to express. A poet should have genuine ideas to express. The second one, to study nature attentively. A member of this movement should study nature attentively. The next point, to sympathize with God, is direct and serious and heartfelt in previous art. See, to defy all conventions of art. So those are the principles of Pre-Raphelites. And who are the main important poets of that Pre-Raphaelite movement? See, the first one is Dante Gabriel Rossetti, then his wife Christiana Rossetti, and William Morris, and Algernon Charles Winneber. So these four are the important poets of that Pre-Raphaelite movement or the Brotherhood movement. So see, this movement was against the contemporary poetry of the kind of Tennyson's, which was full of tradition and involved in the immediate mundane problems of contemporary society. See, the Pre-Raphelites started a periodical called the Germ. In the previous question, this question was asked. The Germ magazine or the periodical was started by the Pre-Raphelites, or the which magazine did the Pre-Raphelite start? The question may ask in this. We have to keep this magazine's periodical name in your mind. See, the most famous literary work associated with the Pre-Raphaelites was D.G. Dante Gabriel Rossetti's, that is the Blessed Damsel. This Blessed Damsel is a great poem written by D.G. Rossetti. This poem represents the whole philosophy of this Pre-Raphaelite moment or the Brotherhood moment. So see, so this is about this Victorian age and Victorian age's characteristics, and I discussed in this video main important three moments. Those are Oxford moment, aesthetic moment, and that is another one, that pre-Raphaelite moments. Among these three moments, compulsory there is one question in your question paper. You have to study and watch this video frequently. And friends, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, you do subscribe. And also for watching this video. I need your support and encouragement and comment on my explanation and any mistakes. Your suggestions are always welcome. Thank you for watching my video.